The University of Hawaii at Manoa released their 2016 annual fire and safety report, and when looking at the numbers, two categories stand out. The number of liquor law violations reaches 884, while drug law violations reached 509, giving the grand total of those two categories alone to 1393. So why are the numbers so high? Dan Meisenthal, Director of Media Production and UH spokesperson, explains why the numbers are so high.
Where we're just reporting the number of incidents. Now, actually, the number of students found responsible could be much lower. I think, for instance, in the 2015 numbers, I think only 43% of the students that were involved were actually found responsible for the violation. So, for instance, if the vast majority of these things happen on student housing, which is pretty common for the universities, and so. Someone could go into a room and there might be one open beer bottle and 10 people in the room, and all 10 people would be written up. So that incident would have 10 people involved.
If the 43% that Meisenthal said were actually guilty is true, then the grand total would go down from 1,393 students to about 599 students. The reason why they report the incidents this way is because of the Jean Cleary Act, and it makes a process for colleges to follow in reporting crimes. Sarah Rice, the Community Programs Manager at Campus Security, talked about the Cleary Act process.
So part of that is the statistic. Well, what it requires us to do is report a statistic for a crime that was reported, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the person was found guilty. And that's a really important distinction.
The biggest concern is that these liquor and drug violations are mostly on campus housing. In the grand total, only 9 incidents happened outside of campus housing. Austin Lau is an RA, or resident assistant, in Freer Hall. He talked about how RAs know the policy so that they can enforce it.
In the beginning of the semester, we have training on everything that you just asked about. It's very detailed. It goes for 2 weeks, and we're really, what is the word I'm looking for? We're really drilled on knowing all the policy violations and all the regulations and how to address certain situations.
So even with all these numbers, how safe is our campus actually?
But I really think that the overall message with this campus report is that we live in an incredibly safe campus. It's a safe place to be. The great thing about whatever happens in student housing is that if you get caught doing these things, you don't get thrown out of school. It's a learning experience, and you have to go through an assessment. And maybe there's a problem that can be identified. Or maybe it's just a lesson that you need to be taught to kind of bring awareness to about being responsible for your own actions, especially when you get to college and you're out of your parents' house. But this is an incredibly safe campus. I mean, not only do we have your standard HPD or police presence that you do in the entire community, you also have Department of Public Safety. You also have trained staff with the student housing folks. You also have all these tremendous different services, whether it's mental health services at the counseling center, whether it's a Title IX office, whatever it might be. There are so many different places that you can get help, including, approaching a counselor or approaching your dean. And so I think people should take comfort in that. And I know that there is a desire to look for something that's bad, but the fact of the matter is that these numbers are good.